Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up this week, we're going to talk about the new 100-point minimum to buy into Disney Vacation Club directly. Coming up next on this episode of the DVC Show. The DVC Show is brought to you by DVCStore.com. You'll save thousands of dollars on your next DVC contract when you let the experts at the DVC Store help welcome you home. Visit them on the web at www.dvcstore.com or call them at 1-800-550-6493. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by, I think, the largest group we've ever had for one of these shows. Sean Falk is with us. Jackie Gailey.
Hello, everyone.
From the DVC Store, Miss Jamie Carr.
Hi, everybody.
As well as Mr. Jerry Saito.
Hello.
And joining us via Skype, as always, Mr. Pete Scheidley.
Hi there, everyone.
And back on the controls, our associate producer, Corey Fiasconaro.
Welcome home.
And welcome, folks, to the show. Hope your week is off to a good start. Just a couple things. What was I supposed to say? I'm supposed to push something, and I forgot what I'm supposed to push. Oh, you know what? Text messages. If you are actively seeking out new contracts, DVC Store has a great text message system that will alert you as soon as a new contract comes in. And Sean, remind them what they do.
You can text whatever your text word is, which will have all the text words located more than likely in the notes below. And you text it to 888-111, and you'll choose what resort you want. You'll choose your use year and put in a little bit of information like your name and stuff so we know how to contact you, and you'll get all the updates. I'm on the list myself, so I get my updates on whenever my exact specifications come through of what I want.
Right, so if you're looking for a Copper Creek with the February use year, you put that information in, and then anytime DVC Store gets a Copper Creek with the February use year, you'll get a notice. And you can put in multiple alerts. And actually what we'll do in the show notes is we'll just put a link right to that page on the DVC Store website, and you can actually sign up right from there. You don't even have to text in. You can just sign up right from the web. But you can find it on DVC Store's website as well. But great way to get notified right away, especially for those hot contracts, those small point contracts that go really fast. You want to be the first one to know to jump on it because those go quick. So just head over to the website and check that out. All right.
Oh, wait, I will say we have also added Old Key West 2057 as a keyword and Riviera.
Right.
So you can now use those too.
We listed our first Riviera yesterday. And,
oh, really?
And we sold it the same day. Yep.
What?
Really?
Yep. Listed 144 a point. Seller took an offer, but it did sell within minutes.
What did it sell for?
I can't say because it's an offer and it's still pending.
Oh, I see.
But it did sell. We listed it. It sold like that.
Can you give it to me in Morse code or something?
Yeah.
We'll wait till after
Check
the
back
show.
on the next show.
Yeah.
I'm about to fall out of my chair.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like the third or fourth one now that I've heard of.
Wow.
And and look, obviously Riviera just, isn't open yet. So clearly there is some distress in someone's life if they bought a contract and now have to sell it. So my heart goes out. I really don't want to make light of that. But, all right. So, but let's talk about the new 100-point minimum. This dropped, at the time that we're recording this, it dropped a few weeks ago. By the time this goes up, it'll be about a month. Well, actually, no, I'll have you put this one up next week, so It won't be too bad. But DVC decided that the minimum purchase to buy in direct with DVC is 100 points. It was 75 points, and that is what will allow you to get the coveted blue card, which means that you get all the perks, the discounts, the access to Moonlight Magic, a lot of that stuff. And I wanted to have a discussion about this because, and again, I'm not running any scientific polls here, but anecdotally, a lot of the comments I'm seeing are saying, well, I was going to buy direct the 75 points, but now it's not worth it. I'm just going to buy resale. That they may have, in fact, priced themselves with this basically it's like a $4,700 increase now, because minimum the price per point direct on Riviera is $188. So you now have to spend $18,800 versus the $14,100 you are having to spend at 75 points. Why do you think they did this? Who has a theory?
I don't know. That's a good question. Go ahead, Pete.
I think it's hard to argue that the timing wasn't to boost sales for the year, because the fact that they put it in on September 17th and that the fiscal year ended on September 28th, which was 11 days after the date, and you have 10 days.
I'm sorry, Pete. I have to correct you on that. The fiscal year, Disney's fiscal year ends September 30th.
30th, okay. But anyways, very close to when that happened. I think they were trying to see a little bump in sales to help with the end of year. I don't think that was the reason for the decision. I'm sure they were probably planning to do it anyways. I mean, they wouldn't do that, because I do agree with you. I think in the long run, it probably hurts their direct sales a little bit, in that a lot of people will now go just to resale.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, is that, look, I get the and I put an article about this up on DVC Fan. I get why people think that it was a move to boost sales because Riviera has been disappointing. But while Disney in certain instances can be very short-sighted, they're not usually that short-sighted. That they're so desperate to bump this fiscal year's numbers that they're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
So I think this is a longer term strategy.
Mm-hmm.
That they see now that they do have an interest in direct purchase, and they're trying to capitalize on it.
I agree with that. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to. It has to be a little bit. It has to be a bigger number so that it's more of a. If everybody could afford to do it, then it's not quite so special. And they really did a number when they separated those membership cards. When they had different membership cards for resale and different membership, and now they're just trying to. I think they're just trying to take that one extra level and say, okay, now we're going to have so many people are just buying 75. They're just buying the basics just because they want that blue card.
Right.
We're going to bump it up to 100 now because too many people are doing it. It's kind of like
If you think back to 2006, when they made the initial change where you didn't get a membership card.
16.
Sorry, 2016. You didn't get a membership card. The minimum was 25. That was the smallest number you could buy.
Yeah.
And then they realized that people were buying the bulk resale, 25 minimum to get the card, and they quickly changed it. So this isn't the first change to the minimum number of points. I think they did it to stop, so to say, the bleeding with the 25 points. Mm-hmm. And then they realized, as you said, they can capitalize even further and make up the 25 points for them will make up enough of a difference for those people that aren't buying from them.
Well, here's my other thought, is that the main reason people are buying any direct points at all are to get access to certain perks. I think in particular, the Moonlight Magic, some of those big events. I mean, because anybody who's been to a Moonlight Magic, I mean, they rent out the entire park. All the attractions are open, and they really ridiculously limit the number of people allowed in, and they do it for free, quote unquote. But that money has to come out of. It can't come out of maintenance fees, right?
Nope,
Maintenance fees. They're not allowed to use maintenance fees for that. They have to use the money that they're making on direct purchases. So you think about it, and what do we always hear when people talk about buying for the perks? Don't buy for the perks because they can go away at any time.
Yeah, that's right.
So in order for them to continue to do these perks and do other things, that money's got to be coming in. Plus, it's a business. It has to show a profit.
Yeah.
And DVC is more popular, I would say, right now than it has ever been
Yeah.
But
in its history.
For me, I think that I don't think a majority of people who buy DVC or who have purchased DVC bought through resale. I think the majority of people collectively through the years have bought direct, and I think more people are learning about resale now. But I mean, for the amount of people, I mean, even as of last year, I knew Disney Vacation Club existed just because I've seen the booths in the park. But even whenever I knew that it was around, I had no idea there was a resale market, period. So, and I do think that the majority of people who are doing that, they're on vacation at Disney and they are like, oh, I'm enjoying this, and Disney gets that first direct punch. I mean, no one's Googling, like, if you don't know anything about DVC, no one's Googling like resale DVC things. And so I think that has a lot to do with it. No one who's going to make a first time direct purchase is going to purchase like 75 points or even 100 at that point, because it's not enough necessarily. Like they're going to get like 160 or 150 or something to have enough for like a week long vacation. So I think Disney's just aware that the majority of people who are buying 75 points are people who already own the product and are just doing the benefits part. So they're not boxing out new customers essentially, because new customers buying direct need more than 75 points.
But I do
anyway.
think a lot of people go through those presentations and they do what Pete did. Wait, I need a day or two to think about it. And then they Google it and then they think about it and then they find resale. So, and then they call us and they're educated because they do know something, but they don't know enough. And so they ask Jamie and I, what is this resale market? How does this work? I took a tour. So there are some educated buyers who are not buying impulsively at Disney. Some do, but they do call
You'd
us.
be amazed how many people call from their hotel room.
Yeah, from the resort.
Wow.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we do get a lot of business from people that are curious and they find us through like a Google search after they've taken a tour.
Or the other big one is somebody in the pool.
Oh yeah,
You'd
word of
be
mouth.
shocked how many other members want to tell everyone they meet at the pool when they say, "Oh, I just took a tour." We get so many calls where specifically for me or specifically for Jerry or just calling the DVC store to say, I was in the pool, and you probably laugh at that, but a lot of people when they're around the pool talking to other members love to tell people that they bought resale and saved money.
Yeah.
Sure.
Word of mouth is huge.
Yep.
Well, then, you know what, folks? Get on the ball then. More word of mouth for these guys, all right? That Sean's point is well taken. That's one of the theories that's been floated as a result, about why they did this. That because of the lack of availability of studios and how quickly they go, we've heard this before, that unless you're booking Saratoga Springs or Old Key West, if you don't have an 11-month window and you want a studio, you're not getting it, or it's going to be really difficult to get it, especially in the fall. So it may be a scenario where DVC is getting a lot of negative feedback from new members saying, "Hey, wait a second, I bought these points, and now I can't use them where I can't use them here or I can't use them there, or it's not enough," and so they're upping the minimum. I don't think if that's a driver, I don't think it's a major one. I don't think it's the reason. But like I said, I think, as I wrote in my article, it's the economy, stupid. They're a business. They've got to show growth. They've got to show growth. And, I'm not going to rule out the possibility that Riviera is tanking. I'm not going to rule that out. But we can't judge what Riviera's situation is, truly, until about 6 months after it opens.
Well, I think
Right.
I think also taking into account, like, because we do talk a lot about like what's happening with Riviera and like, you know, because of the restrictions and everything that's been put in place. But Riviera is also the first DVC resort in a while that has so many rooms available. Like, you know, Disney went on their stretch of like the, you know, the Polynesian and Grand Floridian and Wilderness Lodge and all that, of just adding to places that already exist. They converted
A
rooms.
standalone,
Yeah, this is really the first like standalone since maybe like, well, as far as like Florida goes, like Saratoga Springs, I guess, was the last one built. I mean, that I think,
Well, it wasn't even built. It was repurposed from Disney Institute.
right. That was like a major, like, this is a dedicated DVC resort. Like, that's what it is. And so it's been a long time since they've done anything like this. And so, you know, putting the restriction, and then they just have a lot more of it to sell is the thing, compared to the Polynesian or something where there's not that many rooms.
Also, something that I want to point out too, and again, you know, DVC's numbers are a line item on the overall budget for Walt Disney World, and it could also be. We're going to talk about this on the show that we'll record tomorrow. You know, I've been talking about how Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is not having the impact they expected it to have. Yeah. I was in the parks last week for his birthday, and I pretty much could have shot a cannon through Galaxy's Edge and not hit anybody.
Yeah.
The parks were empty. Every park we walked into. And food and wine is going on. Food and wine's going on at Epcot. And, Galaxy's Edge is 3 weeks old. And there was a bigger crowd in Toy Story Land than there was in Galaxy's Edge. So we've been talking a lot about this, that, Disney World is hitting the skids right now. Package sales are not what they're supposed to be for World. And it may be that they have to start looking in other places to bolster that overall bottom line for the resort as a whole. So this could be one aspect of that. We know they're doing massive entertainment cuts have hit. I know I don't have confirmation on this, but I've heard rumors from 2 different sources that were well placed that a number of executives at Disney have lost their jobs.
Oh, wow.
So there is more going on that we may not have all the information to, that may be behind this. But go ahead, Pete.
So listening to this conversation made me think, triggered another thought, because I agree with what everybody's saying, that Disney is not going to do this unless they think it's going to increase their revenue. Maybe they're thinking that the resale buyer that is only buying 75 points, maybe they're thinking, well, if we raise it to 100, they're going to actually keep buying. I know the argument that 100 points is going to cut some people off, but perhaps they think enough, if 80%, 90% of the resale buyers still buy that direct contract to get their benefits, that's going to increase revenue for them, right? So maybe that's their thought, is it's still going to sell to the resale buyer. They're still going to want that 100 points to get that blue card.
All right, so I want to ask somebody who recently bought a 75-point contract.
Yeah.
Corey.
Yes.
If you hadn't bought that, but were thinking about it, and now it was 100 points, would that have changed your decision to buy?
No. I would have thought maybe a little bit harder about it, but I ultimately would have bought with the same goal of buying the minimum direct and then buying resale after I paid that off. And my head space kind of went immediately to that was, I feel like there's just some person in a room and they're being told, hey, how can we increase profits? And this person is saying, okay, well, let me look at the numbers. Most people who buy the minimum point contract, well, they buy more contracts later, whether that be through resale or whether that be through us, because they need more than 100. They need more than 75 points. They need more than 100 points, whatever it is. So let's boost that now and get people to buy more points now and come here longer now, and instead of buying those points later that we know they're going to get later, either through us or through resale. Let's get those 25 extra slivers now.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you would have to add on if you bought 75 points. Like if you only have 75, you really can't do much with that. Yeah. So if you have 100 at least you can do a studio for a week at most places, or at least 6 nights. So you're kind of, you're eliminating that immediate, I need to buy more point kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And I'll say because I just recently bought, and I bought direct as well, and they really made the big push on in mind that like the minimum's 100, but they could make the exception. They'll like call and like try and figure out how to get me to 75, which I've heard from a lot of people has happened.
Which was
even
nothing
years
other
ago.
than a sales ploy.
But there's even like over the years, like Disney's been doing this. So in Disney's mind, like them just now officially making it 100, they pretty much were already telling people it's 100, but we can pull some strings and get you in for like 75 instead, to people who aren't necessarily aware. So
which is kind of sleazy.
Well, there's a lot of people who've probably already bought 100 points as their direct, because that's what Disney claims is the minimum, but they make exceptions for, people to be able to do 75.
Unless you have a good, a good rep that I do when I bought direct, Gib McCain, and he just told me flat out, minimum 75. No nonsense. No nonsense. But there's a reason why he's one of the most respected ones. But
one question with the change, you could still add on a smaller contract though, right? Because with Disney, I mean, the 100
correct.
points is the minimum initial buy. If you already had a contract, you could add on 50 more points, right?
That's correct. I think actually 25 is the minimum.
25 is the minimum, but to get the card, it'll be 100.
Right.
Yeah. If you want the blue card, you have to have 100 direct points. If you're a new buyer, if you already have the blue card, like, I bought in at 75, Fiasco bought in at 75. We have our blue cards. We keep them. They're not taking those away. It's just for new purchases. But I'm sure we're going to have a lot of discussions. We got to wrap this up. That's going to do it for this episode of the DVC show. And we will see you again next week. Have a great week, folks.